Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam.
Danvat Pranam. Prabhuji Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Danvat Pranam Mataji, Hare Krishna. Okay. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। Okay, mm, we are continuing with our Anartha series, part 4, Envy. This is something that Narad Muni says. Now, the presentation is little complex, um, a little. We should be able to understand though. The subject matter is very deep, and what we are discussing is very superficial at a very surface level because the subject matter is just um, beyond my realizations. So I'm speaking based on uh, what I have heard from pure souls who are non-envious. Um, this is from Shrimad Bhagavatam. Narad Muni is giving instruction, and the name of the chapter is Civilized Human Beings. Instructions for civilized human beings. Persons who want to advance in superior religion are advised to give up all envy for other living entities. What is envy? Many definitions. Um, like Srila Prabhupada in 9th chapter, where 9 dot uh, 28 or something, where Krishna says, I envy no one, nor I am um, 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 dear to anyone. I'm equal to all. In that verse where Krishna says, I'm impartial, Prabhupada describes envy means you don't like someone. Um, the root cause of envy is that I am the enjoyer. That's the root cause of envy. All material desires exist because of envy. For example, something that we can relate to, somebody has spiritually or materially, somebody has more wealth, more beauty, anything more than us, the tendency of envy will come out. Or somebody is more successful, somebody is in a higher position, um, mm, anything that somebody else more than me materially, then this envious nature will trigger. And we don't want and we dislike those people, or we don't want their welfare. And the root cause is I am the enjoyer. The reason we are in this material world is because of this root cause, that I am the enjoyer. um, so somebody else has something that they are enjoying, whatever it is. Queen Kunti Pre, Jan Aishwarya Shruti Shri Bhi, um, better education, more facilities, more anything they have. The inherent feeling is I should have it. I want to enjoy that. Whatever others are enjoying, I want to enjoy that. Um, mm, so that is the root cause of envy. And Narad Muni explains here that it is advised that all living entities give up, that persons who want to advance spiritually should give up envy toward other living entities, whether in relation to the body, words, or mind. There is no religion superior to this. Okay, this is something we did discuss in the past. Lord Vishnu telling to Durvasa Muni, O Brahmana, by offending Maharaj Ambarish, you have acted with self envy. It is a subject, it is the subject, not the object, who is harmed. So Vishnu is telling Durvasa Muni that the person who envy others, he suffers, not the person who is envied. So the reason of envy is, um, I want to be the enjoyer, and the person who has those desires, basically, these are all material desires. Material desire means I want to be the enjoyer. Material desire arises because of envy. Having material desire is a sign of envy. Um, those people who have envy, they suffer. Just like Durvasa Muni envied um Ambarish Maharaj. Why? Because the idea is, I am superior to Maharaj Ambarish, so um, I should be given the first position. I should be first respected and treated, and then Maharaj Ambarish can eat. He cannot eat without feeding me. So, again, it's about me, and because of which he created the demon, and the person who actually suffered was Durvasa Muni. Um, a saintly person. He he like there is a song by Six Goswamis, Dhira Adhira Jana Priya 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 Karo, uh, Nirmat Sara Pujito, Nirmat Sara. So Matsara is in envy. The six Goswamis, they were non-envious by nature, and the proof is they would treat equally Dhiras and Adhiras, uh, both. Dhira means sober person, Adhira means unsober person, ruffian kind of. Okay. Prabhupada writes here in the purport to give a practical example. Hiranyakashipu was envious of Prahlad Maharaj, but this envy of the devotee was harmful to Hiranyakashipu, not to Prahlad. Um, Hiranyakashipu was harmed, although he was envious of Prahlad Maharaj. So the person who envies um, will be on the suffering side always. Mm, okay. Okay. This is something Dharma projito kaitavottara paramo nirmat saranam satam. Um, Invocation prayer to Shrimad Bhagavatam. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Puran propounds the highest truth which is understandable by those devotees who are free from envy. Um, so Shrimad Bhagavatam says that um, This religion is this Bhagavad Dharma can be understood by those who are non-envious by nature. Others will understand according to how much purity they have. Um, Krishna says the same thing to Arjuna. I am revealing the science of Bhagavad Gita to you because you're not envious of me. That's why and you can understand it because you're not envious of me. And as we progress, as we advance, as we become more and more purified from this disease, we can get deeper and deeper realizations from these spiritual books. They reveal according to our purity level. Envy is in mode of ignorance. Uh, Work impelled by violence and envy is in the mode of ignorance. Krishna tells Uddhav. Um, just like anger, like lust is mode of passion, anger is mode of ignorance, and envy is also mode of ignorance. When we act out of, or when we get that feeling of negativity towards another person, that's actually a sign of envy. It's it's actually mean that mode of ignorance is triggering us. Um, Now, something very nice Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions on overcoming envy in one of his book. Five types of miseries manifest as Sadvarga. Varga are enemies. Chad Sad is six enemies. They are Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moho, Mad, Matsar. Kama lust, Krodha anger, Lobha greed, delusion Moha, Mada pride, and Matsar is envy. These are Chadvargas. These six are called Chadvargas, six enemies, and they are nothing but other forms of five types of misery, namely ignorance, egotism, infatuation, attachment, and hatred. Something very deep. Um, when we act out of ignorance, it's a type of misery. When we act out of ego, it's a type of misery. When we become infatuated, it's a type of misery. When we become attached, it's a type of misery. And when we hate somebody, it's a type of misery. These are five kinds of miseries. Infatuation, attachment leads to kama, lust. We know that. Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsam. Everything arises from there onwards. So there are five miseries: infatuation, attachment, hatred, ignorance, and egoism. And these six enemies, six anarthas, they arise from these. Now, this is a commentary on Bhaktivinoda Thakur on this verse, Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsam Sangasteshu Pajayate. Those who have not heard this verse, from contemplation of the object of the senses, attachment develops. From attachment, lust arises. Unfulfilled lust give rise to anger. Um, Krodha bhavati sammoha. Memory is bewildered. Sammoha smriti vibhrama. Intelligence is lost. And then once one falls down. So everything arises from contemplation. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur relates this verse to Shadvargas, Kam, Krodha, Lobh, Moho, Mad, Matsar. Um, by meditating on sense objects, inwardly ming- one inwardly mingles with them. So as we meditate on the sense object, there is a close association. So one inwardly is mingling with that sense object. Such association with sense object in the form of acute absorption in them give rise to lust or kama. So one becomes very absorbed in that association with the sense object and lust arises. Uh, Again, all these chad vargas, even hatred, infatuation, attachment, these miserable conditions, um, egotism, all these miserable condition, they all arise from this one conception that I am the enjoyer. Um, um, and the beginning of this conception that I am enjoyer is lust. It takes many forms, gross form, and subtle form. Okay, which inevitably leads to krodha. Um, um, Krodha. Why krodha? There can be a external manifestation of anger, or there can be a state of depression, which is also a kind of internal krodha, which is like, I cannot enjoy, I am not the enjoyer. um, unfulfilled desire, intermingling on the thought process, attachment, unfulfilled. um, why I cannot enjoy. So there is this subtle anger, and if one is not careful, at the thought process, anger will arise. Um, mm. if one is still not careful, from anger arises some moha, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur says some moha is actually lobha. Lobha means greed. Anger gives rise to greed. How? Um, First, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains to enjoy the sense object even by unfair means. So, when lust arises, unable to fulfill, anger arises. In that anger, by hook or by crook, I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy. Okay, okay. Even by unfair means. So there is a um, strong lobha. Strong lobha is desire, a strong desire to enjoy that arises out of frustration, out of anger, and that is greed. Greed for sense objects leads to loss of discrimination. When this strong lobha arises, that I want to enjoy, um, then one does not see what is right, what is wrong, and one go to even most abysmal actions, most unworthy actions. Um, One can give up one service to Krishna also if one is not careful, because memory is lost. Even if it's a regulatory principle, I don't care. So before fall down happens, this situation comes. I don't care. That's okay. These kind of, so this is all called moha, or loss of discrimination. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur describes this moha is actually pride. I don't care. Um, this is, I want what I want. Um, so greed leads to loss of discrimination, that leads to pride, and finally, uh, that leads to utter ruination, or matsara, matsarya, which is envy. So here envy means um, um, being envious of the situation that I cannot enjoy, kind of, because um, frustrated, frustrated, um, and then when this kind of envy arises, then whichever person is the cause, uh, we develop some kind of negative feeling toward that person, who is putting us into all this situation. um, the last stage. Okay, and because there is negativity that arises, the loving tendencies go away. The living entity's natural loving tendency goes away. um, okay, in other words, Lust give rise to anger. Now this is explained here. Lust give rise to anger. Unfulfilled lust give rise to anger that I cannot enjoy. So within anger, lust is included. If I am becoming angry, means I have unfulfilled lusty desires or some form or the other. That can be as subtle as I need a chapati. Why? Where is chapati? Why it is over? Why didn't you make more chapatis? It can be as simple as this. Attachment. Pakad ke rakhna. Attachment. Um, so lust is included in anger. Then lust and greed are both included in greed. Greed means strong desire, which arises out of anger. Um, Somehow, strong desire to enjoy. Um, like, okay, we can take this example of chapati. Anger arises why there is no chapati. Now, greed arises means I need chapati now. I need chapati now. This is a greed that arises. Okay, then and lust, anger, greed, and delusion are found within pride. Um, and then before that, lust, anger, and greed are within delusion, moha. Um, Moha means loss of discrimination, illusion. Um, um, we don't realize what is right, what is wrong. Um, I need chapati, but Prabhu, it cannot be offered. That's okay. I will take care of it. I need chapati now. So we cannot distinguish what a sane man can distinguish, sane devotee can distinguish what is right, what is wrong. And it brings a moha, and then we are even willing to do wrong things. And all intelligence is lost, and we are just kind of like a dark cloud. It covers us completely, and nothing else is visible. So that strong greed, I want it, give rise to moha, delusion. So you see, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moho, Mad, Matsar, Kam is included. The idea is Kam is included in Krodh. Kam and Krodh is included in Lobh. Kam, Krodh, Lobh, or greed is included in Moha. For one to be illusion, to be covered by this dark cloud of ignorance, there has to be lust, unfulfilled lust, anger, and strong desire. And then, when one is mad after that desire, then one loses the discrimination power of what is right and what is wrong. So, Moha includes all these three. And then, because pride includes Moha, when one is proud, then one loses one's discrimination power. Moha is included. Um, um, One becomes so full of himself that one is unable to see Sarva Karana Karanam. Krishna is the cause of all causes. When pride occurs, so that is a moha, and moha includes all these things: lust, anger, greed, um, moha, pride. So moha and all others are included in pride. Um, cannot see beyond this dark cloud that I am the doer, that mentality, which refers to all kinds of pride, including prides in one's wealth, prides in one's beauty, pride in one's bodily prowess, strength, high caste, one's erudition. So one is kind of lost in these conceptions, and one become illusion with these conceptions, and it includes all the other three also. But envy encompasses all this: lust, anger, greed, delusion, and all kinds of pride. So, like Ramapad Maharaj says, the most deep rooted disease is envy. Because if all other anarthas are included in envy, um, lust may go away, pride may go away, um, anger may go away, moha may go away, still envy may remain. In fact, um, our when we came down, Mahaprabhu said somehow or other we fell down, but the initial fell down situation was because of this envy towards Krishna, ichha dvesha samuthena, envy towards Krishna, that I also want to enjoy. Why is Krishna the enjoyer? So this principle, that why is Krishna the enjoyer, uh, I want to be the enjoyer, um, that envy give rise to one after the other all kinds of anarthas. So Ramapad Maharaj says envy is most deep rooted. It's not. It's not just. Um, it's not just somebody is doing better, so I am envious of that person. That is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, very underestimation of this disease. That's why it's very deeply rooted. In fact, one statement Ramapal Maharaj says, the moment we become free from envy, um, we realize our spiritual identity and our relationship with Krishna. um, and envy means I am the enjoyer. Basically, that's where, why is Krishna the enjoyer, I am the enjoyer. Same principle, Mayavad concept, I am God. God means enjoyer. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam. And then we have this feeling that no, I am the enjoyer, means I am trying to be God. Like my spiritual master has a lecture, we are all trying to be small Indras. um, in other words, trying to be the enjoyer. um, like we were discussing Mana Siksha with a group of devotees, and he explains there are gross anarthas, subtle anarthas, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, bad, matsara, and then there is even subtler anarthas, which is duplicity. Um, Duplicity, the root cause of duplicity is also I am the enjoyer. Um, that's why, um, and then the brother of duplicity is the desire to be recognized. And every activity I do, I'm not talking about we, every activity I do is contaminated with this um, um, mm, contaminated consciousness that I want to be recognized. And that also arises because of this conception that I am the enjoyer. um, how to deal about it, this conception that I am the enjoyer. Everything I do, this central is there that I am the enjoyer. um, um, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave this principle of Gopi Bhartru Padakamali or Das Das Anudasa. Unless we are cultivating this mood, um, that I am a servant, I am meant to serve, Krishna is the enjoyer, and I am a servant. Um, this enjoying mentality will not go away. That's why in the beginning stages, it's more of we are acting on this principle of Gopi Bhartrupada Kamali or Das Das and Dasa. Because given a chance, um, we just want to be the center of everything, just want to be the enjoyer, just want everything first class for me. On so this is something that we impose on ourselves, is Gopi Bhartrupada Kamali or Das Das and Dasa. Recently, I was reading a book, uh, and there it is mentioned that on our own we cannot give up this enjoying mentality. This is way more deeply rooted than what we can imagine. In fact, everything we do, everything I do, everything I do is tinged with this conception of being the enjoyer. And I was recently reading, and it says that how can we come out of this enjoying spirit? And the answer came, uh, Bhakti Pada Duri Ara Bhakti Pada Jal, Bhakta Mukha Avashesha Tino Mahabhar. This is a solution by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that devotees um, um, who are free from this, um, who are nirmat sarana, non-envious, who are free from this desire to enjoy, um, dust from their lotus feet, their remnants, or in other words, hearing about the glories, taking shelter, praying to the devotees, praying to spiritual master, praying to the Goswamis, the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, taking shelter, and by their mercy, only by their mercy they can remove this deeply rooted disease within us, which is I am the enjoyer, which is basically the source of envy. And from there comes all brothers and sisters of uh, uh, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Mad. Hearing about them, reading about them, glorifying them, or praying to them will remove. This path of bhakti, the path of devotion, is all powerful. It will remove it. But from our side, the purification will happen faster if we are conscious of the disease. Like as I always say, problem known is half solved. Question is, do I want to remain in ignorance, um, that um, ig- want to remain in ignorance and act out of duplicity, which is self killing me? That duplicity is, I am doing it for Krishna. Or do I recognize that actually I'm doing it for myself? I'm doing it to be recognized. I'm doing it. I'm being impelled by these anarthas. Um, Sachindan Maharaj says, as we grow, we kind of start seeing the fault within ourselves more and more. And the more we see, the more humble we become, um, and the more we pray, and the harder we pray. And anything we do, then we are disgusted. um, I am doing everything. I'm chanting to be recognized. I am doing everything to be recognized. This desire of fame is deeply rooted. If um, when we see that, then there's a good chance we may not become proud. Good chance. Otherwise, otherwise we are actually acting out of duplicity. In other words, we are cheating ourselves. Trying to make us think that no, I am so nice devotee.
260, 260, room number 260.
Okay. Okay. From all from all of these instruction, it can be understood that this sprout of lust, in due course of its development, becomes transformed in the tree of enviousness, and thereby the dharma of the jiva, which is prema, remains inapproachable. Love of Godhead. Now, love of Godhead is impossible, which is the dharma of the jiva. Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions, he calls it Jaiva Dharma. He has a book by the name Jaiva Dharma, means what is the dharma of the jiva? The dharma of the jiva is love of God. He is destined, it's his, he has it within him. That remains inapproachable because of um, the tree of enviousness, because it's too vast and it's expanded all over the place, which arises starting with lusty desires, um, which is again like Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami describes lust as, when I'm trying to satisfy myself, it is lust. When I'm trying to please Krishna, it is prema, something very, very enlivening. I recently read by one of the article, which was a summary article by Urmila Mataji on Madhurya Kadambini. Madhurya Kadambini is a book by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, which explains the stages of progress, like the details of uh, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Anartha Nivriti, Bhajana Kriya, and continuing to Nishtha, Ruchi, Shakti, Bhava, and Prema, these 9 stages of devotion. And there she mentioned that um, the root cause, the disease is that I am the center, I am doing everything for myself, I am the enjoyer. Uh, um, um, More than how pleased is Krishna is how well I am recognized by all the services I do. So that is like I, me, my consciousness. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, at after Anartha Nivriti, when we are Nishtha, we are still I, me, my conscious. At the stage of Ruchi, we are still I, me, my consciousness. It is almost at the stage of Asakti that we start thinking from the perspective of what pleases Krishna. Till a, in other words, till a very advanced stage, we are still under this impression, under this duplicitous behavior, that rendering devotional service, which Srimad Bhagavatam explains, which is meant to please Krishna, which is meant with the desire that Krishna is pleased, it is still infected by the desire, okay, what do I want in this situation? The thought what Krishna wants does not even come. It's all about what I think, what is comfortable for me, what I can do, what I cannot do. Everything is about um, me being in the center, and all the service I do, there is still uh, uh, that me is there in the center. Everything, whether it is cooking, it is, I'm not cooking for Krishna, but there is a motive. It's cooking is a very small example. It permeates everywhere, everywhere, deeply. Whether I'm doing kirtan, why I'm doing kirtan, I want to be recognized. Why I'm dressing, I want to be recognized. Uh, why I'm cleaning, I want to be recognized. This feeling of I am in the center, not for the pleasure of Krishna. I am in the center, is what keeps us in this material world. At the same time, we understand that I am helpless. It's something, the disease that I am the enjoyer is so deeply ingrained, deeply rooted. In fact, in one of the lecture, Brahmachari lecture, my spiritual master says sex life, which is not in accordance with um, uh, scriptures, illicit sex or unregulated sex life. My spiritual master says highest um, show of envy. Again, principle. Now it's too deep rooted in the consciousness. Um, what option we have? Well, what I do personally in my life is when I'm chanting, I pray to the Lord, um, please take away this enjoying spirit, so I can do everything um, um, for your pleasure. So you can be in the center. It is so difficult. Okay. Um, so till the envy is there, Trinadapi Sunichena is um, theoretical. It's a artificial imposition on us. Um, um, a person who is free from envy um, possesses no um, false pride for wealth, beauty, high caste, education, physical strength, and therefore regards himself as even more insignificant than a blade of grass. Because you see, within envy, there is pride. Uh, so when this an envy is, why is Krishna enjoy? I am the enjoyer also. uh, but we don't see, a common man does not see um, envy as why Krishna is the enjoyer. He sees why others are enjoyer. I am the enjoyer. Somebody has better. Why they have something more than I am the enjoyer. So this conception. So envy remains there. But when one becomes free from envy, then one naturally becomes free from pride, and free from pride means Trinadapi Sunichina. Trinadapi Sunichina means humility, and pride defeats Trinadapi Sunichina. At the same time, Srila Prabhupada said, act till make it, fake it till you make it. So, principle is there, but we understand that, at least I understand that I am far away from where I want to go. Um, we are called International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are meant to be conscious of what pleases Krishna, what Krishna wants in this situation. That's why Srila Prabhupada says devotional service begins after liberation. Because till liberation, devotional service is mixed. I mean, pure devotional service begins after liberation because it is contaminated with um, my feeling, my pleasure, my comfort. Uh, uh, okay. So the root cause, Srila Prabhupada says, envy develops in one of the purport Srimad Bhagavatam. Envy develops because of enjoying spirit. So we are again and again coming back to this point so that we kind of have an appreciation of how deeply rooted this disease is. That's all. Now, if we are hoping this presentation is something how we can remove it, well, Krishna can only remove it. We are just trying to identify it, and we are trying, and the conclusion of this presentation may be, let me pray for it, let me beg. We are anyways, what is our profession? The profession of a devotee is beggar. We are beggar by profession. Why? Because by our work, like in, you can work and you will gain some wealth, but you cannot gain Krishna's mercy by working. You can gain, I mean, work may induce Krishna, but Krishna is Avigya Swarat. He is supremely independent. Only by begging we receive Krishna's mercy. So Prabhupada says envy developed because of enjoying spirit, but in Vrindavan there is no sense gratification. For the only aim is Krishna's satisfaction. In Vrindavan, everyone wants to serve Krishna in a different capacity, and thus there is no envy. So there is no envy in spiritual world because that conception is not there. Okay, some more examples. There are, you can take probably hundreds of examples from Bhagavatam. I am just taking 2 3 examples just for the sake of completeness. Um, in the material world, everyone who comes to enjoy himself, everyone who comes to enjoy himself, which includes all the conditioned souls, other than pure devotees who take birth for deliverance, everybody lies in this category. Who comes to enjoy himself or lord it over material nature is envious of others. This envy is also found in the personality of the king of heaven, Indra. Since no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, Prabhupada says no one in this material world can tolerate another's advancement, materially or spiritually. Everyone in the world is called Matsara, envious people. And um, we see Indra always tries to create problems for those who can take his position. Again, this principle is I want to be the king, I want to be the enjoyer. Uh, so Prabhupada says even Indra is, even envy is found even in the personality of Indra. That's why when we sing Guru Puja, we say, Ebejas Gushuk Tribhuvana. The glory of pure devotees is spread all over the three world. Why? Free from envy. Um, Srimad Bhagavatam explains when we render service to those who are free from envy, great service is done. The heart becomes quickly purified. So, um, they are very, very rare souls who can reach that stage. Um, Whenever a great sage undergoes severe austerity, again Prabhupada says somewhere else, whenever a great sage undergoes severe austerity for material power, the king of heaven Indra becomes very envious. Vishwamitra Muni and many examples. He could not tolerate. He could not tolerate Govardhan being worshipped. Why? I want to be recognized. Why they stopped recognizing me and worshipping Govardhan? Same principle. Lust is there, pride is there, anger is there, by default envy is there, because um, mother of all anarthas. Uh, this is another example. um, Daksha. Prabhupada says in the purport, I'm just reading that one line. As far as envy is concerned, from the very beginning, Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva. Why? Because Lord Shiva would not value Daksha the way Daksha would expect Lord Shiva. And that's why he was envious of Lord Shiva. And when we are envious of somebody, then little wrong thing they do, it's intolerable. But when we love somebody, even if they do the most wrong thing, we kind of ignore that because love is there. We don't mind. But if we are envious of somebody, small mistake they do, and we kind of flare it up. How can the person say like that? So Daksha, being envious of Lord Shiva just because he didn't stand up, Daksha became uh, like an animal. He spoke like so harshly. Uh, okay, one more thing Prabhupada says. Um, uh, as far as in the purport I am reading now, in the translation first, please hear me. Daksha is telling to all the assembled sages and brahmanas and demigods who are present. Daksha is telling, please hear me with attention, for I speak about the manners of gentle persons. I do not speak out of ignorance or envy. And Prabhupada is telling, so Daksha is telling, I'm not going to speak. Please listen to me. Let me tell about how gentle people should speak. I'm not speaking out of envy. Listen to me. And Prabhupada is telling, because Daksha is envious, therefore he could not distinguish his own particular envy. The nature of envy is envy hides itself, Prabhupada says. So when we are envious of others and somebody asks us, why are you envious? And we kind of say, I'm not envious. This is very commonly we use this line that I am not envious. But what it means to say that I am not envious is just mean that it just means a duplicitous behavior. Duplicity means we internally external don't match. We are unable to identify ourselves who we are. So like nature of many other things, nature of envy is also it tries to hide itself. um, mm, Although he spoke like a man in ignorance, he wanted to cover his statement by saying that he was not speaking for impudent or envious reasons. Again, the purpose of I am not speaking out of envy is again that I want to be recognized. That others should not feel that I am envious. So I want to present to others I am not envious. I want to present this person. So this is duplicitous behavior. Okay, Duryodhan wanted to be the enjoyer. He wanted to marry Draupadi, but Arjuna, um, that arrow shooting, he was a perfect archer, so she got married to the Pandavas. And Duryodhan was envious because they have something that I cannot enjoy. So this activity, although it's an act of lust, but the inherent cause is envy, and it's manifest because envy by nature contains everything. Okay, there can be spiritual envy. What can be spiritual envy? Others are doing more rounds, better rounds, they are preaching more, they are doing some kind of services better than me, um, uh, mm, they are more famous, they have a better position than mine, they are more valued than me, um, um, anything where they are better than me, then this gives cause to a spiritual envy. Or basically, it's not that this envy is spiritual by nature. Spiritual envy means envy amongst devotees, because some devotees more successful than others. So something that very wonderful, I really liked it, something from one of the lecture by Srila Prabhupada on envy amongst devotees. Prabhupada says, don't become envious of somebody who is getting Krishna's favor. Krishna is favoring him because he has served. You serve and you will get favor. So the context is somebody was opening temples and doing lot of, was instrumental in doing greater amount of service. So the so the person who complained, Prabhupada is telling, Prabhupada could figure out that he is complaining because he is envious. So Prabhupada said, don't become envious of somebody who is getting Krishna's favor. Krishna is favoring him because he has served. You serve, you will get favor. It is foolishness to say Krishna has favored him so much, I am not favored. Krishna has no discrimination. So you become sincere and you can do lot of services. Whoever is recognized by Krishna. Now, even though we are full of faults, Krishna does not see our fault. That is a great quality of Krishna. Krishna did not see the fault in Putana. He just saw, that's why I worship Krishna. He just saw that Putana has come like a mother to offer me her own milk. Let me give her a position of, and Krishna did not see the envy. It's a mixed devotional service. I mean, it's mainly a envy only. She actually came to kill Krishna, but she rendered some devotional service. She offered something to Krishna. Krishna only saw that she came to offer me her milk, like a mother. um, so Krishna does not see, even though our consciousness is contaminated. That's something for us to work on. um, it is described that those who does not, those, to the extent our devotional service is pure, to that extent it is pleasing to Krishna. So that is perfect, makes sense. um, but yet, even though it is mixed, even though it is full of impurities, Krishna becomes very pleased. And then because Krishna knows we are helpless, uh, so when Krishna sees this person is trying his best or trying her best, then Krishna fulfills their desires, their spiritual desires. Um, so when we are envious, Prabhupada words, when we are envious of other devotees' success, then we are not able to see that how glorious that this person has performed devotional service so sincerely, must be day and night. I am not watching this person, what is he doing in his home, how, etc. But this person is doing so much seva, or Krishna has given him such a position. So this person must be very sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness in his home. That's why Krishna is favoring him. If I chant very sincerely, read very sincerely, and don't engage in breaking regulatory principles, and just be sincere and be Krishna conscious as much as I can, Krishna will favor me also. So that's how Prabhupada gave this vision to all of us through this lecture. In other words, um, Prabhupada speaks about Vaikuntha consciousness, purified condition. In other words, one who is not free from the one who is not free from the contamination of envy cannot advance in Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, however, is someone excels another person, the devotee who is excelled thinks how fortunate the other person is to be advancing in devotional service. Such non envy is typical of Vaikuntha. So, when we see somebody else doing much better service than ourselves, something that we are desiring, like if we want whatever, if we want, say, a kind of preaching to be done, and somebody else does a similar kind of preaching and is much more glorious and successful, and happens to be our friend, and if we see that, when we see Krishna in the center, where Krishna is the enjoyer, when that conception is there, then we see how glorious Krishna is, so pleased, so many people are going closer to Krishna. But when I am in the center, then it is like, why Krishna didn't use me? Why the other person is so successful? Why I don't care about how much pleasure Krishna is receiving, that so many people are becoming devotees. What really matters to me is why I was not the instrument to do that seva. So again, when one is non-envious, means krishna's krishna's pleasure is in the center. Then anybody else, if they are giving some amount of pleasure to Krishna, wonderful, glorious, and it gives us lot of pleasure that others are doing so much seva. Krishna is so happy. So the principle of Krishna in the center, it's a very advanced stage. Krishna is in the center. That is Vaikuntha. In Golok Vrindavan, in Vaikuntha planet, Krishna is in the center. In material world, I am in the center, and that give rise to envy. Okay, something very practical, very nice. I liked it, by Sachinandan Maharaj. One of the greatest problems of materialistic society is a tendency to compare yourself with others. This disease of comparison. Um, um, I am not successful as this other person. I am not as attractive as the other person. On social media, this person has more likes than I do. I need a better car than my neighbor. I need to go on better vacations than my colleague. I am valuable if I'm better. If I'm not better, then what is the use of my life? This comparison mentality. However, comparing yourself with others is bound to lead to the impression. If we compare, then Sachindan Maharaj says it is bound to lead to the impression that you are a failure, because there is always somebody who is more successful, more intelligent, and more interesting than you. So this comparative mentality, okay, let's continue. Comparison is the end of happiness and the beginning of discontent. Someone has more envy, they will have more competitive mood. That's why Srila Prabhupada did not recommend us to play competitive sports, because competitive spirit, if it increases, then that competitive spirit will increase in every other phase of life also. The moment you start comparing, you enter the land of frustration. The mentality of comparing breeds the greatest obstacle for spiritual life, envy. So there is an article on this by Sachindan Maharaj on envy, and he speaks about comparison is not good. It make you feel depressed and all other things. Some practical tip basically. Okay, uh, another very nice thing. The three pillars of our movement is Nam Ruchi Vaishnav Seva Jiva Daya. We are trying to cultivate this. Um, Taste in the holy name, serving the devotees, and Jiva Daya, which is compassion to other living entities. These are the three pillars of our movement, um, and all three of them are destroyed if we harbor envy in our heart. How can an envious person chant the holy name? It is not possible due to offenses against devotees this person will commit. When we are envious, we commit offenses. Offenses happen because of envy. And hence we cannot chant properly. How can an envious person serve and think of the welfare of others? We cannot serve if we are envious. We will serve as a matter of, we will not serve with our heart. We will serve as a matter of duty. We will not serve as a matter of love, as a matter of something to please Krishna. And our service will also be tinged in many, many forms. So, how can an envious person do Vaishnav Seva? Um, 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 and think of welfare of others. Um, when we are envious, then we cannot think of welfare of others, because then we can only think of welfare of ourselves. So everything I am doing is for myself. So there cannot be any compassion. The only compassion can be I compassion to myself only. Everything now, it's still good because devotional service is all pure, and Prabhupada says means is the goal. So devotional service is the goal, but same devotional service, even though performed impurely, will purify us. So it's all glorious. But Vaishnava Seva Jeev, their Nam Ruchi will not develop till we we become significantly pure. It's not possible because the person will become unhappy when others flourish. So um, um, there cannot be Jeev Daya, there cannot be Vaishnav Seva. Non-envious is freedom, and envy is bondage. In other words, this is from the article further explained by Sachindan Maharaj, that which Mahaprabhu said we should cultivate these three moods. They again can be cultivated only when we are free from envy. Otherwise, it will be selfish. Even Vaishnav Seva will be selfish to I will get benefited. Everywhere I will be the center. It's not about pleasing Guru and Krishna, it's about me. Whatever we do, I will be the center. Okay. Dealing with envy, we have come almost to the end of this discussion. न धनम न जनम न सुंदरिम कवितम वा जगदीश कामय मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतद भक्ति अभय तो गीतवाई. Chant this mantra every day, because this mantra means I want to serve Krishna and I don't want anything for myself. Because this envy internally, we are being driven that for me, for me, for me. I want this and this and this. Kavi means Kavi. Now, 500 years back, um, Kavi means learned scholars. Uh, they were most recognized. Just like nowadays, people get their daughters married to those who are rich and who have a job. 500 years back, people would get married to their daughter who are learned scholars. So that was like a status symbol. This person is learned, which basically implies I want to be recognized. That principle. So Dhanam Janam Sundarim, it's something, gross pleasure, they will give me gross pleasure, and kavitam, all that will give me subtle pleasure, everything. I don't want na kavitam va jagadisha kamai. I don't even desire to be a kavi. um, mama janmani bhavatat bhakti ravaitu kitvai. Birth after birth, I want to um, serve you, keeping you in the center. Now, at the state of ruchi, one becomes conscious ki, and at the state of ashakti, it's mostly what, and at the stage of bhava, at the stage of prema only, one does nothing for oneself, only for Krishna. So very, very deeply rooted. uh, Rupa Goswami, non envious bhakti. Anya Bilashitam Shunya Gana Karmadi Anavritam Anukulina Krishnanu Bhakti Uttama. Same principle. What is pure devotional service? Anya Bilashitam Shunyam. No desire for myself. No material desire. No desire for my sense gratification. No desire for my to be recognized or for me to get anything. Only if it gives pleasure to Krishna. Krishna is only in the center. That is the definition of devotional service as per Rupa Goswami. So we saw first thing we can do is daily recite Shikshashtakam. It will help us to recognize that I am servant of Krishna. Especially this verse, Nadhanam, I don't want, don't want, don't want. Although internally I want all these things, but when we externally pray, then we are kind of self imposing a pure consciousness onto an impure mind and intellect. and ego, and that itself is purifying. Okay, second thing, these are there are total five things that we will discuss. Another helpful tip is to make it a point not to criticize others. Um, Criticizing brings you in a wrong place. Better exchange it with appreciation. Nature of envy: if somebody is doing better than us, then we kind of become insecure because of envy and ego. So we find fault in them to bring them down. So criticism is coming because of envious nature. So instead of criticizing, this is something dealing with it on an external level. Glorify. Like my spiritual master has a lecture on overcome envy by glorifying devotees, something like that. How to overcome envy, and the whole lecture he emphasizes on this point on glorifying devotees. If somebody is doing better, if you don't say anything, then internally you will be like depressed. This person is doing so better, I am not. So this envy will kind of put you in a very depressing zone. But if you, even though unwillingly, if you say, Prabhu, I'm very impressed um, by the kind of service you do, it's glorious. Then now, glorification, Shrimad Bhagavatam says, is also, I mean, I don't want to use that statement because it can bring many other things. um, 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 when we glorify devotees, then the mind will be solaced, because we are kind of venting out our uh, the envy which is burning us within our heart. We are kind of venting out. This is just dealing with envy. It will not cure, but it will please Krishna, it will please Guru Maharaj, it will please Vaishnavas. So in a way there is cure inbuilt in it to some extent. Plus it will give us strength to deal with the situation. So better if somebody is doing that, even though their glorification may be impelled by envy, and that's a fact. Not all glorification. When pure devotees glorify, sometimes glorification can just be out of great appreciation, like we glorify pure devotees, other things. But this kind of glorification is impelled by envy, but this will help us to deal with that envious nature which is burning our heart inside us. Okay, the person does something that might not be my style, but there are these other good things about him or her. Then your mind will not go into the dangerous area of envy. It's like, if somebody is doing something that we don't like, then we can overlook the thing that he don't like and then try to see some good in them, and that will help us not to harbor envy toward that person. um, Okay, it can be as simple as person eats horribly, person dresses horribly, or person whatever. Okay, he has these other good qualities, and focus on them, and then overcome that um, harboring envy that I don't like this person. Okay, this is something Krishna mentions to Uddhav in something very nice. For him who constantly meditates upon my presence within all persons, the bad tendencies of rivalry, envy, and abusiveness, along with false ego, are quickly destroyed. So, when we don't like some person, or when we are envious of somebody, to think that, to constantly meditate that Krishna is sitting in the heart of that person and Krishna loves that person. um, when, because we are in the center, if somebody hurts us, envy comes. The moment Krishna is in the center, then we always think that, well, Krishna loves this person. Then there is no question of our envying that person. The reason we are envying is because I am hurt by some means or the other. Again, it's I, me, my consciousness. But when we transfer it to being Krishna consciousness, that Krishna is sitting in the heart of this person, Krishna loves this person, and this person wants Krishna to be with them, Krishna wants this person to be with them. I am meant to give pleasure to Krishna. What will give pleasure to Krishna? This devotee service to Krishna will give pleasure to Krishna. How can I become an instrument? When Krishna comes into the picture, then rivalry, Rivalry means an angry mood, envy, abusiveness, along with false ego are quickly destroyed. We conditioned souls tend to feel rivalry toward our equals. Who are our equals? Prabhupada says the tendency is to feel rivalry, competitiveness, and that I want to be the center, that kind of thing. Envy toward our superior and desire to belittle our subordinates. That's how conditioned soul deals. Rivalry, competitive mood with the equals, envy towards superiors, why they are glorified, and desire to belittle our subordinates or to show that how superior we are to them, to act in a way to show them that they are very down and I am very up. So this is a an act of con, an act of belittling them. So that's how a conditioned soul acts. Like Narad Muni says, we try to show off. That is kind of, we are trying to belittle our subordinates. So these contaminated propensities, along with their very basis, false ego, can be quickly vanquished by meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead within every living being. Okay, something very nice. Okay, second last slide. Uh, something by Giriraj Maharaj. It's These are all wonderful points actually. um, if we understand this is his what works for him, kind of, Giraj Maharaj says, I always think like this, and that gives him now. Pure devotees, they don't have anything, but they are giving some practical tips for us conditioned souls to apply and become solaced till we get rid of it. If we understand that all of us, we are servant of Krishna, you are servant of Krishna, I am servant of Krishna, he is servant of Krishna, she is servant of Krishna, everyone is servant of Krishna, then we can understand our position is one. That is oneness. We are all servants. So there is no question of my becoming envious of you or your becoming envious of me. We are all servants of God, so we have to execute the orders of God. That is servant's business. Very, very nice. I loved it. um, mm, because this is something that envy arises because of competition. This person is doing better, this person has um, um, dhanam, janam, and sundarim and kavi, famous, more dhanam, more followers, um, um, beautiful people to enjoy, and more famous position, uh, influence, fame, this person. So I am I'm depressed because I don't have anything that they have. So Giriraj Maharaj answer, well, he is also servant of Krishna. She is also servant of Krishna, and he is also servant of Krishna, and she is also servant of Krishna. I am also servant of Krishna. So there is nobody higher or lower. Back to Godhead, we are all serving according to our swaroop, and we are serving our superiors, and we are all trying to give pleasure to the divine couple in some way or the other. So then no envy will come. uh, and this is the last slide. Um, O King Parikshit, Sukadev Goswami telling to Parikshit Maharaj, O King Parikshit, anyone who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord pastimes will ultimately be freed from the disease of envy and thus be liberated from the bondage of fruitive activities. So Sukadev Goswami is telling, one who hears Krishna Katha, who orally receives the narrations concerning the characteristics of Lord pastimes. Simple words. If you hear Krishna Katha, you will ultimately be free from the disease of envy. That's it. Full stop. If you want to become free from envy, hear Krishna Katha. Actually, what happens, um, um, by hearing Krishna Katha, your taste to hear Krishna Katha will increase. If you don't have taste to hear Krishna Katha, hear it as a matter of regulation, hear it as a matter of force. Somehow or other, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, hear Krishna Katha. As your as you hear more, as a matter of training, your taste in hearing will increase. As you start deriving that divinity from hearing and reading scriptures, Krishna says, Shanvatam Swa Katha Krishna, Punya Shavana Kirtana, Shanvatam, Shinu, hearing, Katha Krishna, Krishna Katha. One who develops taste in hearing Krishna Katha, um, Hriday antastohi abadrani vidunoti suhrid satam. I purify them when I see I am the Lord in their heart. When I see, oh, this person likes to hear about me, either by reading Srila Prabhupada books or by hearing Prabhupada lectures or lectures by contemporary devotees or whoever. This person likes to hear about me. Um, when that taste develops, that ruchi very quickly um, solace our burning desire to enjoy, because of which we act enviously. Why? The root cause of envy is because unsatisfaction in heart, because Sachitanand, we are meant to be blissful. Bliss comes by Krishna Katha. When we hear about Krishna, when we chant Krishna's name, bliss comes. Um, um, so when we develop that ruchi by hearing more and by chanting more, quickly we'll develop that taste. When we develop that taste, then that burning desire to enjoy. Um, um, Initially, because we don't have that taste, we have vacancy. I want to enjoy in a material way because I cannot enjoy spiritually. But when we start enjoying on a spiritual level, then it's like this person is doing so great. He's holding the universe on his head. I'm okay with that. I'm i'm very happy serving Krishna in my own small way. Why? Because we are content from within. Then somebody is holding the universe or creating havocs or creating waves. I'm okay with that. I'm happy serving Krishna in my little small way. My Lord, Mama Janmani Janmani Shware Bhavatat Bhaktira Gitvai. It's such a peaceful state of consciousness where you're not disturbed by. The more we are empty within, the more we will be envious. Why? Because there is a hankering to be satisfied. It is our nature to be content from within us. So if you just keep hearing Krishna Katha and keep chanting the holy name, the sooner you develop taste, the sooner you will be self satisfied. And that ruchi, and Krishna sitting in the heart, when he sees that ruchi, Krishna will take a cloth, keep it wet, and just move it around your heart, and then you will have no longer that material burnings in your heart from these anarthas, and you will be satisfied in your love for Krishna. Okay, that's all we have for today. Discussions.
Can you hear me, Prabhuji?
Yes,
Prabhuji, can I ask a question?
yes,
So, Prabhuji, I think you mentioned like earlier in the slide how the uh, pride is inclusive in envy, and then lust and greed or anger are inclusive in pride, and that's envy is basically kind of a cause. Now, another point that you mentioned that um, we do not know. We say, okay, I'm not envious because we don't feel I am envious, but inside there is envy. Now, in this being in this material world is definitely envy. That's why we are here. So how do we, at what point and what stage we started realizing that I'm envious? Because right now I don't feel I'm envious, but I am actually. So at what point start feeling myself, like I feel myself angry when I'm angry. I feel when I'm lusty. I feel that, but envy I don't feel. So how do we recognize that I am in that anartha and start acting on it? Because unless and until you know that you are in that anartha, you won't even try to cure it, Prabhuji, right?
Well, um, simple basic definition of envy is um, that I am the enjoyer. I am the enjoyer. If we are convinced of the fact that I am the enjoyer, um, 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 that's a sign of envy towards Krishna. That's the sign of it. Envy does not necessarily mean seeing others my heart is burning, but it's just that's an exhibition. That's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in general people think envy is seeing others progress. I am burning in within me, so that is envy. But he says that's not a proper understanding of envy. Envy basically means I am enjoyer. Does it help, Praveen Prabhu?
Okay, Prabhuji. I mean,
uh,
definitely there is a tendency to enjoy. I mean, like to enjoy prasad, we like to enjoy so many things, but at that time, I mean, usually it doesn't come in mind that I'm envious, but something to think about.
You
Yeah.
probably are very pure, bro. I'm talking from my perspective.
No, 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 bro. Definitely not.
But I have seen
I
within myself, Prabhu. Initially, I heard one devotee telling that I'm envious of every living entity. And I thought, Prabhu ji, kya baat kar? I'm envious of some people. I am not envious of every living entity. But that was his realizations. I still haven't realized that. But the idea is the more we grow, Prabhuji, the more um, kind of um, either we are pure, and if you are, then great. That's the goal of life.
definitely not,
Otherwise,
bro. It's not even, not even there to know that there are anarthas.
otherwise, see, anarthas also. What happens is, Prabhu, they reveal themselves over a period of time. Not necessarily they reveal themselves on a situation based. Many times, like lust is there, and then we don't act on it, and nothing torments us, nothing tortures us, and we think, oh, good. And suddenly some thought will come. I'm like, Hare Krishna. So okay, it's there. Anger is there, and then we may think, no, I don't become angry. But in a situation, anger will come. So situation brings that out. But one of the blessing of Krishna consciousness is if you are sincerely practicing Krishna consciousness, Krishna covers these anarthas, Prabhu. So nothing becomes visible. That is Krishna's mercy. But once in a while, they become visible, and that is also Krishna's mercy to take a humble position. Does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Shweta Mataji.
Prabhuji, regarding the anger, sometimes no, to make the kids to do their work or in their daily routine or to keep them away from the gadgets. Like the work will be done only if you show your anger.
Yes.
Uh, in that case, like what can be done? Like without showing your anger, it reaches the last level till the patient is fully tested. Then only.
Well, kids give you that benediction that you can test your patience level. I have seen that many times. But Srila Prabhupada said anger can be used to, um, um, the word he used is um, uh, to discipline children. That's the word Prabhupada used. Anger should be used to discipline. But try not to, I mean, you can become angry. Try that you don't become frustrated by that. There is another instruction, if you were there last week, where Rishabh Dev says that it is our instruction, it is our duty to give instruction. Sometimes we can give it in a strong way to emphasize the importance of doing what we are trying to say. But then, if they are still not willing to follow, we must continue our duty of instructing them. At the same time, we exhibit tolerance.
Like if it becomes a regular practice, Prabhuji, that
Probably some other technique, Mataji. Some other technique. to make them feel that this is important to do. Many times we tell them because we understand the importance and they don't understand the importance of it. So if we can communicate in another way, so their intellect starts thinking, that may help. Sometimes anger help, but if we become too much angry on everything, then we kind of lose respect for our anger in them. They kind of don't fear our anger anymore. Then some other means can work. Does it help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Okay. Thank you very much. You all can offer prayers on my behalf for me also, so I can become pure and become selfless and keep Krishna in the center. My obeisances to all of you. Vansha kalpa tarubhesha kripa sindhubhe evacha patithanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anant koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.